I am John Ahlquist. I'm an associate professor at the School of Global Policy and Strategy here at UCSD, and I study political economy, so the relationships between markets and governments. And I recently completed a project in Hungary, and this was a situation where I and my collaborators were interested in learning about how voters react to changes in very complicated electoral rules. In particular, this is an example of what we're calling democratic erosion, where you have an elected democratic government using their position of power to rewrite the rules of democracy in their own favor in ways that actually undermine political competition in the democracy. And we were curious to see how voters in Hungary were reacting to this process because they have a government that was trying to do this exact thing. So we went and surveyed a bunch of Hungarians in the run-up to their 2014 election, which was the first one under these brand new rules that the incumbent government had written to find out how much they understood about the rules and whether they thought the rules were good or bad for democracy in Hungary. And what we ended up finding was that voters didn't react all that much, basically. They didn't put a whole lot of weight on them. They didn't think they were good, but they didn't put a whole lot of weight on them. And on top of that, they very much interpreted these changes in the rules through their pre-existing partisan political commitments. In other words, people who were already committed to or had supported the incumbent party thought the changes were good. People who supported the opposition parties didn't like them. And when you gave them information about the reforms with these partisan prompts, you saw people basically react in a partisan manner. So in other words, voters weren't punishing the incumbent for this democratic erosion. They reacted in very predictable partisan ways. So you could think of this perhaps as a little bit depressing, the idea that voters are going to stand up for democracy or to resist the erosion of democratic rules and practices doesn't seem to be really the case, or at least it wasn't the case in Hungary in the 2014-2015 period.